minimum temperatures of 4 to 8 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Join the Save Our Shirt movement today. More at saveourshirt.co.uk.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Now then, you're welcome along to Monday evening's football show. I should mark your card. We've got full live match commentary of the Republic of Ireland against Bulgaria on tomorrow night's show. And by the way, before we hear what Mick McCarthy was saying this afternoon, we've got 2 pairs of tickets to give away tonight. So if you want to head along to the match, just answer the following question. Who scored the equaliser against Switzerland last Thursday? A brilliant header it was as well. Text your name and answer to 53106 for 30 cents and we'll give you a shout after the show is done. So Mick McCarthy and Seamus Coleman were speaking to the press today. It's Bulgaria tomorrow night. A few bits and pieces going around. We'll bring you some of the better stuff. At the press conference, McCarthy was asked whether any of the very promising under-21s might feature tomorrow night.
Have they got a qualifier tomorrow?
Yep.
Then why on earth would I call them in? I just think that'd be wrong of me. The 21s want to qualify for a competition. And I was extremely impressed, certainly by Connolly. I thought he was pick of the bunch, Malumbi as well. I thought they were, and having a soft spot for centre-backs, I like the both of them, who are both competitive and both can play, both can pass the ball. But certainly Connolly, he was the one that caught the eye. Connolly and Malumbi I thought were excellent. I'm not sure that if I play them in a friendly against Bulgaria, it will tell me that they can compete in a game against Georgia away or Switzerland away or Denmark at home. I can still see them. It's a competitive game against Sweden, and I'm sure I'll learn more from that than I would in a friendly. I hope they get playing, certainly playing in their teams, and I hope they give me that dilemma, that problem that when they are playing. But I keep going back to it. I'm not sure that Georgia away, Switzerland away, and Denmark at home are games for debutants. And of course, it's always the case if I was to do that and they didn't play well, that question would be asked. So I kind of trust myself and TC and Robbie that we know who the best players and who should be playing. But I'd like to have the dilemma. Yes, of course I would, that they were playing in Champions League games or Premier League games. But at the moment they're not.
Yeah, probably fair enough point from Mick McCarthy. Big games coming up, mightn't be the best place to introduce a few debutants. He was interestingly asked about would he be experimenting with a couple of positions, left back in particular. Ender Stevens has obviously picked up a suspension for the games upcoming, or the game upcoming. There are 3 big ones left, so left back, a bit of a hole there. Here's what he had to say.
Well, Guy, whoever plays will want to win the game. You know, if I make 3 substitutions or 6 substitutions or whatever I do, you know, does it weaken the team, strengthen the team? Players who have not been playing, I would think if they get a chance to play, they should be busting a gut to be playing at their top level and as well as they possibly can. Then if the case may be that some of them aren't playing next time, or some of them are injured, some of them are poorly, they can stake their claim to play. So I don't know what the right balance is. I don't know what it is. The right balance for me is putting players in the team, making them organised, giving them a way to play, the tactical way, make sure they know the jobs, marking free kicks, attacking free kicks and corners, and that's always the same. But the players who come in have got to be ready to play. Yeah, I got asked about Stephen Ward. Yes, I know him. Greg Cunningham. I don't need to see any of those play to road test them at all. So whoever plays there tomorrow might be a surprise, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, some whispers actually. Conor Howrahan might line out at left back tomorrow, which could be an interesting choice. Again, that game is live on the show tomorrow. And then a final one from Mick McCarthy. So he was asked ultimately what he's expecting or what he wants to see from the Irish team against Bulgaria tomorrow.
It's always nice to see them win, of course. I'd like to see whoever players play, I'd like to see a performance from them that warrants me giving me some consideration that I might have to play them in the next game. Or, you know, everybody else sees that and they think, oh, well, yeah, he could play. If so-and-so's not doing the business, then at least we've got other players that can come in and do a job equally as well, if not better. So I'd like to see players give me the problem I talked about the 21s, if they were playing in Champions League or Premier League, that I look at them and think, you know what, he can do it. And I hope everybody else sees the same. Well, I watched most of the game against England. England are a very good side, and Bulgaria, I don't know whether they just tried to sit back and contain them and couldn't, and were well beaten. They've had some decent results, certainly in the Nations League. Actually, funnily enough, somebody told me this morning that the best players they've got are in the under-21s, and they've been taken out of the squad and put in the 21s, probably because they want that team to qualify. An interesting concept, that, because if I took them and I stopped the under-21s qualifying because I'd nicked the players, there'd be yells and screams of, why on earth did I do it? Bizarre. Anyway. They'll pose a threat. They've just had a competitive game like we have. Whether they make changes, I don't know. I will be doing. And I'm just looking for that same competitive edge that the lads who have been playing in the last 4 or 5 games have shown us as a team.
And just to clarify, if the under-21s didn't have a qualifier against Sweden, would you be tempted to bring in the lads to have a look at them?
Yes.
But you just don't want to pull them out of this big game?
That was a fairly categoric answer, that, wasn't it? I don't know, I can't put any more meat on the bones than that. Yes, I would.
Mick in good form as ever, able to handle the whole thing very comfortably at this stage in his career. So that was McCarthy. He was in pretty decent form, as you might imagine, after a good result on Thursday. Seamus Coleman was sitting there alongside him. If you're just listening on the radio, Coleman was there for the press conference as well. At one point he was asked about some of the upcoming games, not least Georgia away after their result in Denmark, and then also whether he expects to play in the game tomorrow night.
I thought last night they were very good, but I think the last 3 or 4 times we've played them, they have been very difficult opponents. It's a very hard place to go as well, that makes it that bit more difficult. And last night I thought they deserved the point and were pushing towards the end to even go on and win the game. So we've always known how much of a difficult game that is. Scotland a few years ago found out how difficult that game is. So it's no gimme for us to go out there and get 3 points or a point. That's going to be hard work, and as players we knew that anyway. But I think everyone now knows how difficult it is to go to Georgia. I look and the captain of the side and the manager obviously wanted me at the press conference, but whether a player don't play tomorrow, as the manager touched on, it's important. Players are travelling everywhere with us, coming in the summer for competitive games, maybe not playing, and if the manager does decide to change it tomorrow night, then we're there to support them as well, and that's what we're all about at international level. We're a team, we're a family, and whoever plays, we will support them.
Thank you. So there you are, that's kind of the sense of the press conference this afternoon. Mick McCarthy and Seamus Coleman, all fairly comfortable, things in decent fettle after a good result on Thursday, and I guess a relatively stress-free evening in store tomorrow. We will bring you full live match commentary. I'll be there from 7. Nathan Murphy and Stewie Byrne will call the action. We'll get a sense of some of that experimentation that Mick McCarthy is talking about. We'll see who might pop up at left back as well. So that's tomorrow. We'll take a short break. We're back in just 1 sec.
Get in there. That's what I pay you for.
I think conceit and arrogance is part of a man's makeup. Perhaps I've got too much.
I believe in a different concept of football to Don.
We don't play in the clouds. If God wanted us to play football in the clouds, he'd have put grass there.
That might mean, aiming for utopia, and it might mean being a little bit stupid. But that is the way I am.
And if anything is going to win second division this season, it's character. And I've got it.
How do you react though when someone, from your playing staff comes and says, "Boss, I think you're doing this wrongly"?
Good. Well, I ask him which way he thinks it should be done, and then we talk about it for 20 minutes, and then we decide I was right.
Oh, you are a bloody disgrace!
For missing the target from there, you want bloody shooting!
We're getting too much of that, and I suggest you shut up and show more football. Happiness comes with insight. I'm a little bit of an idealist. I'm a good socialist. I do believe in fairies. I'm a good dad. And that is my, outlook. I'm happy. Okay, smashing. Give us a kiss.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, returning football shirts to the fans. Join the movement today by using #SaveOurShirt.
News Talk Breakfast.
They should be aware of the problems associated with burning wood in particular. These wood stoves that are being sold as being the best thing in the world, it's not true. The wood fumes may not go straight into your face in your house, but they escape from the chimney into your neighbour's house.
In a word, in 10, 20 years' time, will stoves be gone? Will they be redundant?
Yes.
News Talk Breakfast with Shane Coleman and Kieran Cuddihy.
In association with AIR.
Back tomorrow from 7 on News Talk.
What is autumn's soundtrack? It doesn't bang. It's soft and wistful. It's all about change and moving on, and it's beautiful. But even in autumn, some things don't change. Irish emergency and hospital services need a stable, regular supply of blood throughout the year. Unfortunately, the rate of donation often falls as we focus on the changes from our summer to autumn routines. We know the changing rhythm of your days is keeping you busy, but we know we can count on you. So please make the time to visit your clinic this autumn. Go to giveblood.ie, where every one counts.
Since 1927, ESB has been working towards a brighter future for all. Today, that means finding new ways to use clean electricity in our everyday lives. And because electric vehicles are 3 times more efficient and improve the quality of the air we breathe, it's definitely worth thinking about. Be part of a brighter future. Find out more at esb.ie.
This Irish success story is brought to you by Guaranteed Irish.
Did you know that Black Knight is the leading Irish-owned web hosting company with 84,000 customers in 130 countries? Based in Carlow, Black Knight employs 48 people, providing domain names, email and web hosting using the latest technology and responsive customer support. Guaranteed Irish welcomes companies that are altogether better choices for our communities. So look out for it. GuaranteedIrish.ie. Altogether better.
Be confident in the next car you buy. At Dundeel, you can find cars from over 1,000 trusted dealerships nationwide. Now you can search for cars with warranties and monthly finance options to meet your budget. Dundeel, Ireland's largest car showroom in the palm of your hand.
Have a great evening with itsforwomen.ie. Don't live your life on hold. Get a quote now at itsforwomen.ie and see why we're trusted by over 130,000 women in Ireland.
Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
Welcome back, Joe Malloy here on the football show. As mentioned before the ad break, we've got full live match commentary of the game against Bulgaria tomorrow night. Myself, Nathan Murphy, Stewie Byrne will be at the Aviva. We'll be on from 7 as usual, and then Nathan and Stewie will call the action and we'll see how things go. Mick McCarthy in very good form if you're just tuning in before the ad break as well. We brought you his press conference from this afternoon. Not surprisingly, his name came up at the Bordgosh Energy Theatre last Wednesday. I suspect lots of you at this stage have seen a fair old chunk of Roy Keane and Gary Neville, who were on stage with us for over 2 hours in the end. We had planned to play some of that chat this evening, so we're going to play some of that now. We'll start with Roy's thoughts on 2002. It wasn't something really we wanted to spend too much time on because, frankly, you suspect everyone has said everything they can ever say about Saipan, but in a wide-ranging chat like that, it was always going to come up. So we'll play you what he had to say about it and how he feels about it 17 plus years on. And just bear in mind as well, I know we're after the watershed, but there's a bit of strong language as well. So this is Roy's thoughts in 2019 on 2002. Are you bored around the house? Are you itching to get back in? If a job didn't come, what would the next 10, 20 years be?
I've been very lucky. I'm definitely... when I analyse my career, I'm one of the luckiest guys on the planet, and I never get bored. I'm never at home going. I've always got something to do. Obviously, 5 children keeps you busy. I've got my couple of dogs, my wife. I get a few little bits of work, but I'm never bored. I always keep myself busy. I go and see somebody, or come back to Ireland quite a bit, go down to Cork, watch matches. I go to Croke Park, I like watching rugby. Never get bored. I'm very lucky in my life. Honestly, I have no complaints. And this idea, I need to get back in the game because I might go stir crazy. No. I'm fine.
Would you ever move back to Ireland? Does that hold?
Yeah, I think so. I think I literally have that thought, I think, every single day.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's always there. But I have to look at the bigger picture. Obviously, I got my family, but they're growing up now. And I think there's not a day goes by where I don't think, I'll eventually get back to Ireland, of course.
I know you've had an amazing time over in England, obviously. Is there ever a certain sadness when you think, geez, my age now, I spent more of my life away from home than at home?
Yeah, there is that.
Missing out and stuff.
I think, obviously, when you get a bit older, people talk about getting homesick. I get homesick every day, particularly for Cork. Yeah, it's really strange. So, but I also know that football in England's given me a great life, and it's given my family a great life, and my family in Cork. So I count my blessings for that. And I'm also only around the corner. It's not as if I'm in Australia. So I can get back to Cork. I do over particularly the last few months, I suppose, when I'm kind of not working full. I love coming back on the boat, have a bit of freedom. I answer to nobody. You're on about TV. I can kind of dip into the TV, dip back out of it. Jesus, honestly, I count my blessings. I'm very, very lucky.
Content.
I wouldn't go that far.
Would you not go that far?
It's a dangerous word to use.
Yeah, you always fight that off. Contentment or the comfort zone.
But I'm obviously worried about I don't want to get in the comfort zone either, where you think life's great and I just sit back and not do anything. You do have to keep yourself busy. As I said, I look at certain games, look at certain clubs where I think that club would suit me or whatever it might be. I don't sit around hoping for managers to lose their jobs. I don't.
Yeah.
But there are certain clubs I look at, I think I'd fancy maybe doing something with that group of players. But I also have to, again, I go back to it. I might never get back. I might never get a job opportunity because when jobs come up, I very rarely, never get linked with jobs. So it's not as if I don't think clubs or chairmen or chief executives out there have got me at the top of their list. But what I would like to do, I suppose, sometimes is get an opportunity to speak to a club, even if they don't give me the job. I've been interviewed for jobs over the last few years and they've gone with somebody else, and that's fine. But you want to get a chance to try and sell yourself and look somebody in the eye and obviously do well in the interview. So hopefully I'll get that opportunity in a few months. But I'm not fearful of it either. If it doesn't happen, I'll be fine.
Is the Ireland job still an ambition?
Who knows? The danger for me now, people talk about listen, it's unfair because no matter what I say about the Irish job or the Irish situation, it's unfair on obviously Mick at the moment or the manager and Robbie, the people that leave them get on with it. I had a good crack off it and let them see how they do and good luck to them. And but if that ever came back around, who knows where I am in the pecking order? Funnier things have happened, but we'll see.
It's obviously set up for the next few years with Mick McCarthy now and then, this rather unusual succession plan where Stephen Kenny is coming in, one of many unusual things that have happened in Irish football over the past year.
Yeah, but that's just the way it is, Listen, let's see how that pans out. It might work out really well. Who knows? Again, one thing I don't think any of us can do in here is predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen with results or our own careers. So again, I don't go to bed every night thinking, I hope that job comes up or the Irish job comes up. Good luck to people and see how they're doing the job. And if they win football matches, they'll be fine. And if they don't, they'd all obviously be under pressure like everybody else.
Have you followed what's going on in the FAI?
Do you know what? Not really. I suppose the only thing I can say about whatever's going on with the FAI but the last few years when I was with them, I loved it. I thought there were a lot of good people there. Obviously, there's stuff going on now that I probably haven't got a clue about. But I loved my time there. Some really good people, some good staff. I know there's people in the background, genuine football and people. Whatever we say, football's a great game. So I've kind of stepped back. I've had my time there. There's no point in me getting involved, I suppose, in the politics of it. But you hope they get through it, and I'm sure they will. And everyone can learn from it because, nobody's perfect.
To wrap up, or we'll be here pretty much all night. You said there stuff doesn't keep you up night. You referenced Saipan earlier, not getting into a he said kind of thing. Does that cross your mind? You mentioned you think of Cork every day. Would that cross your mind often at this stage? Is it still raw?
What could have happened or might have happened?
I guess.
Not really, no. Again, I think it's important. People look at, if people look at the facts, people need the facts. The bottom line, you run about management, man management, dealing with players. If a manager is going to step up in front of a group of players and staff and make accusations against any player, whether it be me or Robbie or Duffer or whoever it was, there's going to be trouble. There is. You're on about management and getting a group together. And again, I don't know how many games we played to qualify for the World Cup. Somebody might tell me in the audience or Google it or whatever. I think it might have been with the playoff games. I think it was out of 12 or 14. I think it was. How many? 14, right. I think I missed one match.
Yeah, it is.
I think I missed. Thanks, Mick. I think I missed one match. I think I did. Somebody might put. I think I missed one match. And then on the eve of the World Cup, there's a meeting with all the players. Don't forget the kit and all that. That was all sorted out. I'm sick of repeating myself with all that stuff. That bit. And you're sitting with a group of players. You're flying on the next day to your official train, and there's a meeting called in front of everybody. And there's accusations made against me about missing one game in the whole campaign. You know, what are you expecting?
No, totally. It's such a loss for you to give up on that World Cup. Does any part of you ever think, oh, I should have played that World Cup and then just got the hell out of there?
There's a situation that I wish hadn't kind of panned out that way, of course. But again, I know it takes two to tango, and I have to look at my own part, of course. But I just think, well, again, I honestly, but like the United stuff, what was I supposed to say? You know, I missed one game, and the medical staff were involved in making this accusation against me in front. But even if he again pulled me 1-1, and this was on the eve of the World Cup, it wasn't 3 months earlier or 3 months later. We're flying out tomorrow, and you in front of all the group. Please tell me, whatever. There's people in there who run businesses. I'd love to think, what do you think was going to happen when you make accusations against, I suppose, a character like me, whether it be a senior player, forget about the captaincy. I think if I was sitting there and mixed it up and made accusations against any of the other players, I'd be going, oh, where are you going with this? Well, you know, we're flying out tomorrow. What hang-ups have you got about all this carry-on? Yeah. So, yeah, no, I don't. That doesn't keep me awake. I think I was fortunate enough. Again, I'd obviously played in the '94 World Cup. I've experienced the World Cup. I had a taste of it. And I kind of don't think the baggage from Saipan, I don't really carry it around with me. Okay. I think other people should carry it around with them, not me.
Did you carry it around with you for a couple of years? Did it take a long time, a couple of years to kind of dissolve away a bit?
Yeah, I suppose there would have been I suppose the word I'd use would have been a lot of anger, I suppose, afterwards. Okay. Especially then afterwards, again, the usual spin-offs that come out of it. He said this, he said that, did it. Again, people getting sidetracked, I suppose, and getting brainwashed. But again, if all people have to do is look at the facts, and that's it. And I'm comfortable with that. Again, if it was any other player, I'd be sitting there going, whoa, where's this going? Like Gary was saying, he was looking at the meeting with me and the manager and all the other, and you're looking sometimes, and that's where you hope sometimes people go, oh, put a stop to this. But it was as soon as Mick started it, and I'm sure Mick would sit here and give his own, of course he would. But for the players who were in there, and I know players have all kind of tiptoed around it, I wish one or two of the players would say something like, well, you did make an accusation against the player. What was going to happen? Yeah. I just said, no, Mick, I think you're wrong there, but I'll see you tomorrow on the flight, you know.
Yeah.
Pretzamonja.
And there was like, at that stage, there's no chance of you going, well, we should talk about this privately. It's just like, you just see red of it.
Again, I think if Mick or one of the other senior players are interrupted, but then there's an environment, again, I can't be criticising other people in the room. Because I think they probably would have been shocked by all of it as well. Yeah. Because again, it was strange enough. It was kind of the evening we had after a week from getting over there with all the trouble with the gear. We kind of obviously got through all that, like you do as a team. A bit like United, you have difficult spells, businesses, people fall out, but you kind of eventually get through it. And you go, yeah, listen, we're better for that. But when this took off, you're looking, going, is someone going to interrupt this? And I think people again I think there would have been certain players there when. Well, I don't really want to get... And I understand that as well. I don't think people should all step in. Yeah. They're probably saying, well, as long as I'm okay and I'm going to play in the World Cup. I understood all that. Yeah. Even the next morning, they were all leaving. And I definitely think I certainly had a different relationship, no doubt in my mind, with the Irish players than I had with my United teammates who were day-to-day stuff. And a lot of the lads I played with Ireland over a number of years, I never really got to know them. And I suppose I wasn't really... kind of that important to him, because when we used to know for Ireland, particularly in the early days, you'd obviously come in on a kind of Monday morning, the game was the Wednesday, so you'd leave after some international trips going, I didn't really speak to anybody in that sense, because you go training, you go back to your room, so I didn't have this kind of bond with the Irish players that probably thought and I had to remind myself when I was playing for Ireland what the game was all about, particularly at senior level, and people would sometimes question my character, he was a bit moody, which was all nonsense. I was there to win. I wasn't there to be pals with everybody. And I think that at the end, when it kind of backfired, nobody was going to come up to my room and go, please come back, Roy. They were like, you know, if you're off, you're off.
You know, it blows up and you go home and it's this unbelievably huge story. Like here, I'm sure you got word of how big it was, and you're out and you're walking the dog, or then you're doing the RTE interview, and there's like a steel about you. There's no doubts. Just this front of someone. When you close the door behind you and you're in the midst of something like that, are you stressed or are you thinking, oh my God, this is mad?
No, I think the stress and all the worry comes for the rest of your family, really. Because I kind of knew, I was at the meeting, I knew what was said towards me, whereas other people were getting different stories, and he said that, and I'm pretty, well, I know, obviously it would have been hard for my family in Cork. I know that for a fact, of course. Put it this way, if my son was now playing for Ireland, and he went on a journey and played a lot of games, then missed out on it, I know I'd be upset, even if he was saying, no, I can deal with it. I go, I know, but as a parent. Yeah. So I think my family would have suffered a lot more than me, because I knew what was going on, and I knew I keep saying I had to fight my corner. You do in life, sometimes situations come up where and I roll with a lot of stuff. You know, sometimes I go with this, I'm not going. But there's other times when people look you in the eye and you go, nah, I can't accept that. And I think that's the way it is.
It's funny you mentioned that your daughter is here tonight, and they're all at an age now, I guess, where they're very much fully aware of your career and all the success you had. Did you go through a process with them where, like, they're asking you, what happened there?
No, they've never really brought it up, I'll be honest. Well, I've got 4 daughters, so the girls are too busy with their makeup and stuff, so they wouldn't be. No, I mean that in a nice way. You know, kind of soccer's down there. They've got the Kardashians, they've got their hair, they've got, you know, all these programs, Love Island. That's their priority, not necessarily my career. And they were at a young age where they didn't have to take it too seriously. So my family I never kind of took my career or my football, I suppose, in a sense. It sounds strange, this. I think if you ever came to my house, you wouldn't think I'd been involved in sport or football. I kind of always kept my family a bit distant from it. They never really came to many matches. And I kind of enjoyed that, because I also think when you're playing sport, maybe Gary will agree, you're kind of like an actor. You know, you are like an actor. You saw a picture up there, I had a skinhead, and you're going, again, I always thought when I was going to play football, I was going to war. So I was fighting my corner, my livelihood. I wanted my family to have a good life, contract. I want my mum and dad to be good. And so you're fighting, you're like, so don't get distracted by all the kind of, and that's why a little bit when we went to Portugal United, all the families were involved. I remember thinking, keep the families. It's great if you win something, get them involved, but this is serious stuff. I've took football very seriously since I was 8 years of age. I have. I've just been obsessed with it and trying to win. Maybe too much, I don't know. So I think my kids have always. I remember, you're on about loyalty with your kids and family. I remember saying to them, I never go, do you want to come to the game? They go, no, we're busy. But I think they came one time to a match at Ipswich. And I know Ipswich, they did. They came and they left, I think, after 40 minutes. I think we were 2-0 down. I remember I got home and I went, what's thinking of the game? And they went, no, we left, it was freezing. So that was their kind of loyalty towards me at Ipswich.
Gary, do you think everything you've listened to for the last 20 minutes, half an hour, do you look from the outside with our obsession, this country's obsession with Roy and talking about Roy? Do you find it all a bit insane?
It's not hugely surprising, actually, to be fair. Probably around 98. Similar type of thing with David Beckham in 96 with Gaza. You think of the way in which Gaza was sort of 5-6 years, that obsession with sort of one figure, David Beckham then the same. Wayne Rooney's had it in previous years. I think the country, it happens in other countries. Obviously, you know, Roy's hugely popular in Ireland and sort of a huge figure. So, you know, I understand it, because ultimately I sort of lived it with other players, with England. You know, it was the scrutiny on players like Roy, like David Beckham, like Wayne Rooney, like, you know, Paul Gascoigne in 96 when he was a sort of superstar. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. They're judged all the time without, you know, they're judged by people essentially, as Roy just said, that don't know them, that don't understand them. And just, if you like, it's like, I think the Sir Alex Ferguson hairdryer one is probably the best analogy. It doesn't describe the person of Sir Alex Ferguson. The idea that, you know, Roy was in the changing room sort of, you know, ranting at us is 0.5% of the time. the 99.5% of the time was humour, thought, quiet actually. It wasn't the noisiest in the dressing room. So you had people like David May in there, and some of the younger lads who were really sort of boisterous all the time. So you think about the fact that considered. Always think of him having a cup of tea with Dennis. He's one of the only people in. Fucking bit
Dennis
weird.
Irwin, by the way.
No, but it's like, they were the only, I think the only two people in the dressing room. I can have a cup of tea. Like,
Barry's.
It's like my nan has a cup of tea, you know what I mean? But that was it. They roomed together. They were both quiet. And then Roy obviously was a huge character. Came alive on the pitch, came alive in training.
Yeah.
But he had boundaries. He had boundaries, and to be fair, you had to. I think my view on it was that I think the 5 or 6 young lads in the team, we got to know the boundaries quickly and early, and that's an understanding and awareness of the players that you're playing with. It's an understanding of where you could. Nicky Butt had different boundaries than Paul Scholes, than Ryan Giggs, than Roy Keane. You had to understand the different characters within the team. You had to understand what sort of made them tick. And I think the most important thing is you had to be tolerant of each other. You had to be tolerant of each other in the dressing room. Everybody was different. And if you overstepped the boundary, not just with Roy, but with other players, it was going to be a problem. And there were times in the dressing room where I knew, when he said before he was on the list and he joked, and there were times when we knew, as the lads, me, Giggsy, Scholes, played with him for 5, 6, we knew when someone was sort of just like a woodpecker. We knew when someone was just sort of, because there was either something that he'd seen that he didn't like, something that he'd smelt, but we knew that smell, we knew that scent, we knew that. Same with the manager. I don't think I ever, after 3-4 years of playing in the first team, I never was surprised by when he came in at half time and had to go at a certain player. I knew it was going to happen. You just got to know them, and I think my view on it was that there were times where you thought, oh, you've overstepped the mark there today. I think he particularly did once with me at Coventry. Very disappointed. And actually, it's the only time he's ever come up to me, only aggressively. He came up to me like, proper angry, and I just, yeah. I'd just taken an extra touch. He wanted the crossing first time, and I just thought I might take a touch before I put it in. It's honestly true. No. But I remember turning round to him. His first statement to me was, "Cross the fucking ball first time." And I remember saying, "Fuck off," which wasn't particularly well taken.
No respect.
He was the instigator.
No respect.
And to be fair, I knew that I was going to have a problem at half time.
Yeah.
But then, something? On the Monday morning, I went up to see him. You probably won't even remember. One thing that I always thought that it was a problem was if you let things fester with Roy, particularly. You know what I mean? If it went one day without speaking to him, then 2 days, then 3 days, then 4 days. I saw players do this, and I used to say, if that happened, I used to say, just go and speak. Just go and speak. And I remember going up to speak to him on the Monday, and it was fine. But I think as a younger player, and I was a younger player at the time, probably 22, 23, you either let it fester and then it evolved into something that was bigger than it actually was, or you dealt with it there and then. And I think, he had a similar situation with Giggsy, I think, at one point, and maybe other players where there were moments where... I actually remember once getting in one morning, actually, to be fair, we were probably the first in the morning, like 8 o'clock or something like that. I remember him and Giggsy started an argument about 8 o'clock, and I was listening to it thinking, oh, this is not great. I'll go get my breakfast. I think I came down about 27 minutes past 8, and they were still going. And I thought, oh, this is not going to go. But then they sorted it out after a couple of months or so. You know what I mean? A couple of weeks. No, but you know what I mean? There were moments that happened like that. But then there were certain players who didn't sort of, that didn't, it festered on and it moved on. It wasn't just Roy, by the way. There was other relationships in the dressing room where this happened. Andy Cole and Teddy Sheringham, and there were other relationships like this in the dressing room that you knew that the rest of the players, you just had to manage it, but it was usually because of lack of understanding, tolerance or awareness of where the boundaries were of each person. That's essentially what it was. And I personally, from a point of view, never had a problem with it. In fact, like I said before, I just looked at it quite simply. I never chose the teammates that I was in the dressing room with, but knew that I felt as though I had to get on with every player. I was that type of person that I felt as though I needed to, not be friends. I was not friends with any of them. I didn't, other than the lads that, I was with. I wouldn't go out for a drink with any of them, the other lads that weren't sort of like, say, Phil or Bex or Scholesy or everything like that. But I felt as though there had to be that sort of, because I think in difficult moments, in seasons, I did think the spirit was unbelievable. Our nights out were unbelievable when they happened. They were amazing. Christmas party, or the night in pre-season, or the night when we won the league. For me, people say what the best moments were in my career, were those moments. They're the things I miss, actually. They're the things I miss. I actually don't miss the football. I don't miss being in the change room. I don't miss the training. I do miss those moments of camaraderie, of where basically you're all going out together, you're having a good time, you're enjoying yourself, you've won a trophy, or you basically Christmas party. I do miss those moments. Roy would probably say something different. He might not miss those moments, but I did. I felt that to me that I felt sometimes in pre-season we'd go out on a night out and the team would come together and have the most unbelievable night. The spirit the day after in training, the day after that was incredible. And I just thought, something, you can't beat that. I knew we were unbeatable because I knew full well we'd seen everything of each other, falling over or being sick or whatever it was. No, and it was me as well, by the way. No, it's true. No, I remember once, to be fair, I think it was 18, 19, outside the Golden Rice Bowl on Cross Street in Manchester, lying down on the floor being sick. And I remember, to be fair, Bex and Ben Thornley and Chris Casper getting me home. And those things you think, but there were moments where you came together and you could tell those stories of each other you lived off those stories for the next 2 months in the dressing room with each other. That coming together of people whereby you just, and that's what made us, not what made us unbeatable, the football made us unbeatable, but I miss those moments, to be fair. And from a point of view of Roy's sort of the last 25 minutes, I've listened to a lot of this today. He's told me a lot of stories today that I find compelling. Just compelling to listen to. He told me a story about Matty Taylor, trying to sign Matty Taylor for Sunderland. I thought it was amazing. I was laughing. I think you need to tell that story. I thought it was amazing, you know what I mean? I thought it was absolutely amazing, where he's actually, talking about his experiences in management where, and similar experiences, to be fair, myself at Valencia and with England, and you just think, incredible experiences. I don't recognise sometimes, to be fair, the description of Roy Keane or David Beckham or Wayne Rooney. I don't recognise it actually sometimes. I don't recognise the actual description of them. I know there are moments where they may have done an individual thing, but actually from a point of view of the 99.9% of the time that I was with them during a football career, it isn't them. It isn't them as people. Roy at home would be completely different than Roy maybe in the change room or Roy on the pitch, or same with all of us. And the scrutiny on these individuals is because they were the best players, the most famous players, the players who had the best story. You go back to George Best, you go back to all the players who've had great careers. They're the best players. They're the best players, and they're playing for the biggest club. A club that has an obsession. In Dublin, in Cork, in Thailand, in Singapore, in Manchester, in London, everywhere. That's why Paul Pogba now is the obsession. Because he's the biggest player at the biggest club. He's a World Cup winner, and it should be a compliment that people are talking about him. I don't see it. When I criticise Paul Pogba, when I criticised Paul Pogba after the penalty incident at Wolves, I don't see it as being any different than the criticism of, say, Roy Keane or David Beckham or Wayne Rooney. The best player, the leader, the captain in the team will stand up and he will take the brunt of the criticism, just as the manager will and the coach will. It won't be the assistant coach, it won't be the left winger or the right back or the left back, it'll be the player who is the number one player in the team. And that's never changed. I'm sure Paul Pogba, I speak to people, and apparently he's a great lad. He trains well. He's a really good person. I actually was at the club with him when he was a young lad. So when people criticise him or put the pressure on him or apply the pressure on him, it's because he's the best. He's the shining light. He's the Brian Robson of the 80s now. United are in trouble. People hung everything off Brian Robson. Everybody now hangs a lot off Paul Pogba. But that's the pressure that he wants. He wants to be the best player in the world. So now, go and show us that you're the best player in the world. Carry this team, which is young, inexperienced, hasn't got the most know-how, needs leaders and characters on the pitch. And I said 2 weeks ago, to be fair, on television, wouldn't it be great if he thought of himself as being the player of the year this year? The player of the year. What does he need to do that? Carry Manchester United into the Champions League, win the Europa League, drive them forward, take it as your responsibility. You're at this club for 12 months and you're going to be the best player in the league and one of the best players in the world. That's what I want from Paul Pogba. That's what I want from him, because I think he's capable of doing it. I think he's capable of doing it. I have faith in him to do it. But then I see an incident like Wolves, and that disappoints me. That disappoints me. So he has to take the criticism for that.
We've got to wrap this up, unfortunately. We've been way over time.
What about the Matty Taylor story?
Is it Roy? Matty Taylor?
Let me do that Matty Taylor story.
Go on.
You set me up for the fall here. Probably won't be as funny here as it was on the flight this morning. Up at Sunderland, blah, blah, blah. Trying to get players up to Sunderland, always difficult. Their wives didn't want to go up there because they want to go shopping. Eventually get Matty Taylor up. He was leaving, I think, Portsmouth, and he had an opportunity, I think, to go to Sunderland or Bolton. So I met him at the stadium, up at the boardroom, gave him all the talk, about an hour or two. He said, I've got a lot to think about, it's a big decision. I said, of course, you take your time, huge decision. I'll walk you down to the car park. As we walked down, he says, listen, Roy, huge decision, thanks for the chat. I said, yeah, you take your time, big decision, I understand for your family, no problem. Bolton, Sunderland to Bolton is no comparison, but listen, Bolton were not a bad team at the time. I see him walking to his car, I said, listen, brilliant, thanks for coming up. I'm literally, he turned his back, I got a text. There's not many people text me. So I said, hi Roy, it's Matty Taylor. So, all right. So I've got my phone. I think it was a BlackBerry at the time they were in, and I went, I can see him getting in his car. I've decided to go to Bolton. I'm waving him going out the car park.
To get me. We've been shagged by Dublin. We've been ridden rock solid by people in Dublin.
Had you known more pressure on you, more questions about you in your 19-year tenure here?
Nah, it's absolute bollocks.
Did you think coming in with a 69 that you could even consider yourself 6 shots back?
It's the first round of the golf tournament. Just calm yourself. There's an awful long way to go yet.
Hurry up, man. Joe Wallace, congratulations.
What is it, Brendan?
What would it be? Let me think. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that one. Think about it deeply.
So you're not going to draw me in it, and you have a look at all the facts, you'll see I've no comment to make.
You've made your name as a wheeler